I'm just gonna try to go through the entire plot really quickly. Actually, that seems like the only way to explain this. So, starting season 1. Okay. Sam and Dean Winchester are two brothers. When Sam is 6 years old, their mom somehow ends up burning on the ceiling with this giant slit through her stomach, so she's dead, actually. And it turns out that their dad goes on this weird kind of revengeful, murderous rampage on whatever killed their mother. So they end up, like, driving all around the world, not the world, actually the country. But anyways, they end up, like, living through motels, and they stay at schools for, like, 2 weeks at a time. And Sam was a really good student. He ends up going to Stanford and getting a really awesome girlfriend. Although he lives with her. I guess, yes. Yes, he lives with a girlfriend. They have a dog. Anyways, Dean ends up following his dad all over the place. He's, like, the son that always listens to his dad. Yes. Except that their dad's a really horrible father, and he's never really there. He's always searching for whatever killed their mom. Well, it's very first season of the show. Sam was living with his girlfriend. He's going to Stanford, trying to become a lawyer. He's going to law school. Anyways, so Dean drops by. He's like, Dad's been on a hunting trip, and he hasn't been back in about, like, several days. And then they find out that their dad's gone missing, and he keeps leaving them these clues, and he has this notebook with laws on all things supernatural. Ghosts, demons, everything known to man that is not good. Not known to man, only known to John Winchester. Anyways, they're hunters. They hunt supernatural things. So throughout, like, first and second season, they're like, hey, we're gonna go kill supernatural things, like ghosts. The Bloody Mary ghost. That was a really good episode. Except that it turns out Dean has this whole sadness thing, like, oh no, I need to listen to the rules of our absent father. And then Sam is like, Dad didn't want me to go to Stanford. He wanted me to stay a hunter. I don't want to learn how to fire a shotgun. And they all just go around, and Sam's all feelings like whenever he's interviewing the people. It's sort of like a procedural cop show for the first couple seasons, because they're just like, oh wow, supernatural thing, killing things. Saving people, hunting things, the family business is basically the show rule thing. Anyways, okay. First few seasons they find out that what was happening in Sam's bedroom was that there was a demon there called the Zazel. His eyes are yellow. Whenever you see a demon, their eyes go completely black for some reason. Yes?
Will you please swab out your bassoon?
Okay. I'm making a video for Rachel right now.
Hi, Rachel.
Okay. So, anyways. Okay. Where was I? Oh, Azazel. Azazel was dropping some of his blood into Sam's mouth. And he keeps doing that to kids when they're 6 years old, and then somebody ends up walking in and they end up burning on the ceiling. So, Sam has demon blood in him, and it turns out he has these weird powers. He keeps seeing people die. He keeps, like, seeing people die. There's no other way to say it. He sees people die. And then, he ends up getting stabbed. They end up, like, in this, like, weird camp thing with all the people with demon blood in them, and they're in a fight to the death for Azazel to, like, the guy who wins the fight to the death ends up, like, leading a whole bunch of demons to take over the entire world. Well, anyways, Sam gets stabbed through the spine, and he's dying, and Dean doesn't know what to do, so he goes to a crossroads, and he puts a whole bunch of weird demon stuff into a box, and he makes a deal with the demon, so that, the demon would be able to take his soul to hell in 1 year if they brought Sam back. So Dean just sold his soul for his brother. So, Sam comes back, and eventually Dean's like, whoops, I have 1 year. So they spend that year freaking out and just saving more things. And Dean, oh, there's this demon named Lilith. Doesn't really make any sense. But, like, her eyes are white instead of black because she's racist. And, okay, Dean ends up getting torn up by hellhounds, which are basically demon pets, which go kill the people that need to go to hell. So they drag him to hell. He's there for 4 months. Sam is all sad. Bobby, their old friend who's also a drunk, is also very sad. Dean's in hell, so he's very sad and in pain. But then, demon, wow! Yes, demons are in hell. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, Sam's okay. Dean crawls out of his grave, and he's like, whoa, what is going on? And he looks around, and all the trees in a radius they're all on the ground. All the trees are flattened onto the ground. And then he's like, where am I? I think I just crawled out of a grave. I remember being in hell. What? Where am I? So he goes to the nearest gas station, and he's like, wow, there's a gas station. What am I doing here? Where am I? And so he goes, and suddenly there's this really loud, piercing noise, and all windows break, and suddenly the light's really, really bright, and everything falls over, and he's like, what the heck was that? And so then he goes to meet Sam, they have a bro hug, and then he goes to meet Bobby, they have a bro hug, and then it happens again, wow, what's going on? There's really loud noise, and all the glass is breaking in the room, what's going on? Okay, so that happens. So eventually, he looks on his arm, and what is there? There's a handprint on his arm. Why is there a handprint in his arm? I don't know, he just came out of hell. Maybe something dragged him out by his arm. which seems really inconvenient. Once you try to grab someone around the torso, it seems like a much better holding place. Anyways, so he ends up is like, okay, there's something that pulled me out of hell, and whatever that is left this really big burn in the size of a handprint on my arm, and we should probably figure out what it is. So him and Bobby go into like this panic place that has a whole bunch of demon sigils on it to protect them from demons, not to attract them. That would be the opposite of what they were trying to do. Anyways, they do this like summoning ritual, and suddenly all the lights, they're flashing, all the lights are like exploding, and then suddenly this trench-coated man walks through the doors, and he's all cool. He literally has his face like this the entire series. That's his face the entire series, and his voice is really low. Anyways, he walks through, and there's like, they try to shoot him with shotguns, and they just like bounce off of his trench coat, and he stabs him through the shoulder, and he just pulls it right out while he's staring at Dean creepily like that, and then he drops it, and then Bobby tries to stop him, and he does this thing where he takes his hands like this, and he puts them on his forehead, and then Bobby falls asleep, and then he's like, Dean, we need to talk alone, and so he's just reading this random book, and Dean's like, what are you? And he's like, my name is Castiel. I am an angel of the Lord. Oh, yes. Oh, at one point they tried to get a psychic to see Castiel's true form, but her eyes burned out. Okay. And that's it. So, he says he's an angel of the Lord, and then Dean's like, whoa, there's no such thing as angels, and I fought demons, so what are you? And then he goes like this, and then there's these black wings that just, and you only see their shadows because they're invisible, but, he's an angel, turns out. Then Dean and Sam and Cass is short for Castiel, they hang out, and they're like, all cool, they're bros. Not really, not yet. Cass is getting, like, these orders from people above him, like angels, older angels that are his boss, and he's getting those, but he doesn't really know where they're coming from because he's never met God. Apparently only 3 angels in this series have ever met God directly. Sort of like the seraphim. Seraphim in Catholic angel philosophy are the ones that are, like, right up with his throne, homey angels. So he doesn't really know where they're coming from, but the God that they all know seems to be absent. Yes, because they decided to take God out of a religious show. No, it's not a religious show. Anyways, eventually they find out that Dean's been in hell for 4 years instead of 4 months because time goes faster there. And so he has tortured a whole bunch of souls because it took him like 30 years for him to like, never mind. He ends up torturing a lot of people. Then the angels want him to use it to interrogate this one demon, and then it turns out that Lucifer is the one that's guiding all the angels, and then he comes back, somehow he's like, hey, Michael the Archangel is gonna possess Dean, and then Lucifer's gonna possess Sam, and then you guys are just gonna have this giant battle, and you're gonna kill all of the world's population, but it'll be the apocalypse. And so Dean and Sam are like, hell no, we're not gonna do that. And so Cass is getting the orders from heaven to, like, implement this, but he doesn't want that to happen, because Dean and Cass are his bros! Yes, Dean and Cass are his bros. Dean, mostly, they have a more profound bond. I don't really know what that means, but I think it may, never mind. But, he ends up rebelling. He ends up rebelling against heaven, which is not apparently being ruled by God, so I'm not sure if that's heaven. And he ends up stopping the apocalypse. It's great. They stop the apocalypse, except then they torn up the script, they burn the pages, heaven is in disarray. Michael the Archangel is stuck in this box, and so is Sam, and so is Lucifer, because Sam says yes to Lucifer, and Lucifer possesses him. And then he goes into this box that's in hell, so he locks them in. And then, Sam's soul is stuck in hell for a good year. And then it finally comes out, but it's not Sam. Sam has lost his soul. Sam doesn't have a soul. What? I don't know. I don't know what that even means. He's just a little bit meaner, a lot meaner than he was before, but I don't think that's not having a soul. I don't know. It's a very odd concept, a soul. I mean, what is it, really? Anyways, yes, that happens. He's not having a soul, and then, they end up putting his soul back in him because Dean meets up with Death. Death is actually really, really nice person in this show. He's great. He helps him out sometimes because Dean and Sam keep dying over and over again, but they don't seem to actually die permanently. But, yes, they're bros, but then there's a civil war in heaven, and there's this angel named Raphael who keeps, like, he's trying to get the apocalypse to happen again, and Cass is fighting against him, but it's a losing battle. So he ends up turning to the king of hell, the new king of hell, named Crowley. Crowley is a classy demon, who is currently running hell, and he turned it into this really, really big, long waiting line, and he makes a deal with Cass, which is so sad because Cass is doing all this behind Dean and Sam's back, and then eventually he's like, I'm the one who raised Sam from perdition as well, but he somehow left behind the soul accidentally, but Sam thinks it's on purpose, so they leave him, but then Cass absorbs all the souls of purgatory in order to defeat Raphael and put heaven back in order, but then he somehow turns into this weird semi-god thing, and he turns evil-ish. He goes around on these missions, like, killing people who he thinks are unjust, which honestly is not very godlike in my opinion. And then it turns out that it's melting his vessel. His vessel, Jimmy, is melting. So he goes to Dean and Cass, he's like, I need help. And so he regurgitates all of the souls from Purgatory back into Purgatory, although in this show, Purgatory is where all the monsters go. Not accurate. Anyways. But it turns out there's these older things. They're older than the souls in Purgatory. They're older than the angels. They're older than the humans. They're called Leviathans. They were the first thing that God created, and they kept eating everything. So God put them in Purgatory, and apparently that's why Purgatory was created. Not accurate. Anyways, they're stuck in Cass, and they kill Cass from the inside. It's sort of odd. Like, he suddenly returns, and he's like, I'm gonna make this up to you, Dean. And then he, like, suddenly he's, like, shaking all over the place, and then there's this black stuff that's going through his veins and up his face, and it's coming out of his eyes and his nose and his mouth. And he's like, I can't hold them off, guys! And he's shaking, and then suddenly, like, he comes back up, he's like, too late! And then Dean's like, Cass. And he's like, Cass is, he's gone. He's dead. We're in charge now. And then they just, like, kill everyone. And then Cass just, like, melts into the main water supply, and then people are randomly turning into Leviathans, and then somehow Dean and Cass, they team up together, although Cass has somehow come back. I don't know how that happens. He keeps getting resurrected as a different person. He doesn't remember who he is until he starts killing demons, and then he suddenly remembers who he is. And then, he absorbs all of Sam's hell dreams, because Sam's soul is put back, but he's all traumatized. He keeps seeing Lucifer, although Lucifer's actually quite hilarious in the show. Yes. And then Cass goes crazy. And then they defeat the Leviathans, but then the very, very last shot of the last season so far aired is Dean and Cass stuck in Purgatory.